And I think that really, when you look at it, a big part of the problem has just sort of been nobody at that university, or very few people in power at that university, actually understood or understands how in the world to run a program. And I think that's been part of the problem. We've had people that have no idea what they're doing when it comes to actually running a program, trying to run a program, hiring and firing coaches. And the hiring and firing has been such an absolute, just complete disaster at times that they've never really given themselves a chance. They've never really given themselves the opportunity to build a program. So it is one of those things that they've had a lot of missteps, a lot of mishaps, and a lot of things that have held their program back. And, over the course of, 4 decades, essentially, they've struggled to find a, stability, to find success. And so I feel like when Pat Narduzzi came along, the thing that I thought gave it a chance, the thing that I thought gave it a chance to work with him, is that he seemed to be sort of a meat and potatoes, no BS, blue collar kind of guy who would probably stay around and work hard to build a program if you allowed him to do his job. And the thing that the administration at Pitt has done more than anything else is they just allowed him to do his job, even though it took him 7 years to win the ACC. There were signs of progress along the way. There were signs that things were going to we're headed in the right direction along the way. Some previous ADs might have fired a guy after the 5th year or the 6th year even. But there was some signs of progress along the way. And to me, it's one of those things where by sticking with him and supporting him and not pulling the trigger too quick, it's paid off in a big way for Pitt. It's paid off in a way that really, to me, I don't even think a lot of Pitt fans knew could be possible. But I think the best thing that has happened for Pitt now is that Pat Narduzzi signed an extension through 2030. And that puts him in a good spot. Because it puts the program in a really good spot. And what I mean is stability is something that's good as long as the program is building and thriving and being successful. And it's pretty clear if you've looked at how they've recruited, if you look at how they've sort of been able to retain their own players and not lose a ton of guys every year to the transfer portal. If you look at what they have coming back and what they have in their younger classes, it's pretty clear that they're going to have a chance to now sustain a level of excellence or a level of success that they probably haven't been able to sustain for a while. Because every time they've had a chance to sustain it, they've pulled the plug. or they've cut the coach's legs out from underneath them, or they made a bad decision to hire a coach. We often go back to the Wani era, and it was a mistake to fire him. It was. And in fact, if they didn't fire him then, the program he still probably would be the coach, or he'd be getting ready to retire. And, who knows where they would be, but I would be willing to bet that the program would be stable and would be good, and everything else. But the big thing is they're not going to make that mistake again. And the thing about Pat Narduzzi is he seems to be a really kind of a loyal guy, somebody who really really respects the value of loyalty and wants to, just be here and understands I'm making $5 million a year or $6 million a year or whatever Pitt's paying them. I'm living in a great city. Now that I've won the ACC, I've got job security like very few coaches in the country have. My kids love it here. My family loves it here. It's a city that aligns with my values in terms of, sort of the blue collar thing and the, hard work and the work ethic and all the other stuff, right? So that's the thing. That's the key there. It is a situation of where you have, a coach that fits here and a coach that fits in with what it is that, this city values and what the program values. There's no reason for him to go somewhere else. And the fact that this year he proved he could win the ACC here, which in turn got him into the New Year's Six bowl games here. And really, in the Miami and the Western Michigan game, a couple of plays go differently in those two games. He's playing in the playoffs, and he's proven that everything that people think he needs to go somewhere else to do. He's proven that if you do things the right way here, you can do it. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. You're not Alabama. You're not, Texas or one of these schools that, have a lot of built-in advantages. But you have the ability to maintain a good program that if you build it the right way, which he has, it should be sustainable and good for the long haul. And I think that that's the key. And I think there's two things that make me believe he's going to be able to, quote unquote, keep up with the Joneses. One is that he's embraced the whole NIL thing. He's a traditional coach, and, he complains about that it's legal. I think he called it legalized cheating or something like that, or whatever his phrase. Well, I think it was, legal cheating or whatever he said. But he understands it. He understands if you don't embrace the whole idea of NIL, if you don't try and help your players find NIL deals, if you don't have people around your program that are going to help you have no chance to recruit anybody anymore. So even though he's an old school coach, he figured that one out quick. He's been very, 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 very vocal in that, hey, it's a part of it. It's something that is a part of it now. We're going to figure it out, and we're going to do the best we can do for our players. So that's the first thing. Second thing is he's been a master of manipulating the transfer portal. I mean, here's the thing. This is how it is. If you're Pitt, I'm not beating Alabama or Georgia or Clemson or one of these teams for the 5-star kids. For the most part, I'm not beating them for those kind of kids or even a lot of the 4-star kids. But what I can do is go get kids that have played 2 years of college football that might have been 3-star kids that are at another place now that they've been developed and this and that and everything. They're ready to come in and help. And he's been especially good at finding quarterbacks in that situation. So, at the end of the day, two things that a lot of old school coaches probably, aren't doing very well with. If you're an old school coach, you're not happy with NIL, you're not happy with the transfer portal. And you know what? I would be willing to bet both of those situations are why Roy Williams decided he was done and I wasn't having any more fun in college basketball anymore. Because those are two things that are completely different. You got to worry every year about recruiting players, but you also got to recruit your own players to stay. So Pat Narduzzi's done a very good job of really sort of working the transfer portal to his advantage. And the NIL stuff isn't so scary for him. You know, like some of these old school coaches, they don't, well, he understands it. You have no chance if you don't work that stuff. If you don't find, deals for your players, and it's obviously not up to the coaches. I mean, technically, again, like everything else with the NCAA, there's always got to be that layer of, oh, well, we're going to be pure and everything else. And I guess, it's quote unquote, not allowed to, coaches aren't allowed to use the NIL stuff as inducements for recruiting or whatever. It's all BS. I mean, come on. Again, Jimbo Fisher's a good recruiter, but he has the number one rated recruiting class coming to Texas A&M. I'm sure it's all on the merits of his sales pitch. Come on, man. But at least in the case of Pitt, you've got a program now. You're going into year 8 with the same coach, and think about this: Pat Narduzzi has more tenure at his own school than the rest of the Coastal Division combined. Think about that. You say, how's that possible? Well, 4 of the other 6 schools have first-year coaches coming up. They have 0 years at their school. I think Jeff Collins has maybe 3 at Georgia Tech, something like that, right? 19, 20, 21. Yeah, 3. And Mac Brown, I think, has 3. 6. I think it's total. I think it's 6. And Pat Narduzzi has 7, I think is what it is. But reality is, you've got a program now if you're Pitt. So you should be happy if you're a Pitt fan, the fact that they signed this deal today, the fact that it's through 2030, all of those things are such good developments for you and your program. Really are. Because it means that you're going to probably have a program that is very, 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 very competitive for a long, long time. And that's the important thing.